risk versus reward. I was talking to a girl last night from Cuba. I talked to girls from South America, Latin America, the Caribbean, Cuba, different places, Romania, Ukraine, girls from all over the world that live in quite a different setting than what we live here in the paradise of America. Now, I don't believe any of you who follow me think this way, but so many people live here and think it's just terrible because they have no contrast. We live in luxury. 85% of the people in the world don't drive automobiles or own one. And it's right around there somewhere. That may not be exact, but you can Google it and find out. It's pretty close to that. It's close to the same amount of people got up this morning to look for firewood to cook on. Excuse me. And some people complain here that there's no opportunity, that how can they make it on $75,000 a year or $50,000 a year? They just don't know how they can survive. But of course, many of them are eating out every night. Maybe they live in an expensive apartment, although I will admit, even in my small town, apartments are very high. And I know it's difficult, but people come here, people risk their lives to come here every day for the opportunity that many of the people here smirk at, don't even see. They come here without a high school education. Some become millionaires. Most of them, probably if not all, improve their life because they see the opportunity that a lot of us have grown up with and feel entitled to. Our standard of living is so high that we just think everything should be easy. When we look back on old photos of people back in the 20s or even the late 1800s or the 30s or 40s, especially down in the poorer parts of our country, the southern states, they think about how tough they had it. And they did have it tough compared to what we have it now. It was rougher when I was a kid than it is now, but I still had a good life. I grew up in a small town of about 3,000 people, and in my town, almost everybody, the middle class, upper middle class, working middle class, had 2-bedroom homes. They might have had 2 to 3 kids. Kids shared a room. And the only people that had bigger homes were doctors and lawyers. But these homes that the doctors and lawyers had are nothing compared to what these young people are building now. And then in the driveway, they'll have a Escalade and another car, maybe a Cadillac. And both of them are working and complaining about inflation. Now, I've noticed inflation too. Don't get me wrong. Some of the materials I buy actually doubled in price since about a year or 2 ago. I'm fortunate because I live in one of the greatest countries in the world. Now, you may not agree with that if you've never traveled, but this place is paradise. But if you don't have any contrast, then you really don't know that. And my advice for you would be to get out of the country, go travel to a third world country and get out of the tourist area and see how most of the people live in this world. I'll guarantee you, if you do, you'll come back grateful. The United States is so clean compared to most of the world, especially third world countries. We have clean water. We just turn on the faucet and we let it run. We take showers and let the water run. I mean, we have hot water. I lived in Latin America for 6 years. And the only time we had hot water was when we bought what they call Widowmakers. It's a device about this big around, and it's at the top of the shower head, and it has 2 wires going in it, electric, and it heats the water as it goes through there. And if you touch that, sometimes you can actually feel the electricity coming through the water. So most of the time I took showers in cold water, although now I take showers in cold water too for health reasons, and I think it's good for you. Kind of wakes you up in the morning. But the water here is much colder than the water was in Latin America because it doesn't go underground. We have to have the pipes go underground here in Missouri because if you don't, they freeze in the wintertime. I took a bus most of the time down there, an overcrowded bus. They called them chicken buses, and they filled them up with people. They have what they call tuk-tuks, little three-wheeled taxis. They're open vehicles. It's very dangerous down there. All the houses have bars on the windows. The police force is half of what it should be and very corrupt, very dangerous. It's like living in the Wild West. I was robbed down there once by 3 or 4 guys with guns. They jumped out of a car and got the jump on me before I knew what was going on. I was, I don't want to say a victim. Some other people attempted to rob me a couple times, but I was able to fight them off. You always had to be on your guard down there. And you didn't go out after 9 or 10 o'clock. You may go to the little store down the street, but you didn't go walking around that time of night. And they had a joke down there that if you're driving, don't pull over for the police after dark because of the corruption of the police force. The point of all this is we really do have it made here. But even myself, I grew up here. I never appreciated a washer and dryer or a stove or a refrigerator because I always had that. And maybe to you, you don't even think about it. And I didn't until I lived without those things for many months, years at a time. I was there 6 years. I might have had a refrigerator 2 of those years. Washer and dryer, I don't think I ever had a washer. Maybe I did. I can't remember. I don't know. But I know we went a long time without a washer. One time I lived in a place where we actually washed our clothes on a rock in the lake. And of course you had to hang them up to dry. Most people had what's called a pila. It's really similar to the old washboards we used to have up here, if you know what a washboard is. If not, look it up. And that's how the clothes were washed. It's amazing here. We go from, I see people, we go from air-conditioned house to air-conditioned buildings. Oh, no, excuse me. Air-conditioned house to air-conditioner car to air-conditioner buildings in the summertime. Right when it starts getting warm. In the wintertime, we go from heated buildings to heated car to heated houses or wherever we're going. Everything is climate controlled. The youth can't hardly take the weather because they've grown up in this climate control. This year, I made it without air conditioning in my room. Now, my kids still had air conditioning because I left the unit on downstairs. And I did that specifically just to toughen myself up a little more. I had a fan. Now, you know, the Amish, they don't even use a fan. Mennonites, they don't use a fan. And some people say, why would you do that? I'll tell you why, because we are so comfortable here in the United States living in this land of luxury that we can't hardly take discomfort. We don't know what to do when things get a little tough. So if you purposely seek out discomfort, then you can be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. It actually makes your life better and you can be happier when everything isn't going your way. Because I'm going to tell you what, in life, everything isn't going to go your way. Or rather, it will be going your way, but it won't seem like it at the time. But if you look back and you're a man with goals or a person with goals, you can see how all these things helped these difficult times or these uncomfortable situations help to form your character and build up integrity within you so you could handle the success you desire. Because there is no success lasting without the character to maintain that success. Now you may say, well, Mark, I've seen people, I know they're crooked, they rob from people, or they at least rip people off or swindle people, and they're successful. Well, you don't live inside their skin. Without peace of mind, there is no success. Sure, there's people that have a lot of money, that are constantly watching over their shoulder, are living with the guilt of how they got this money, how they ripped this person off. I mean, if that's success to you, then maybe you're correct, but it's not success to me. One time my mother told me when I was pissing and moaning about one of my divorces and all the lawyers and trouble I was going through and the money I was spending and what I was losing, excuse me, she said, Mark, at least you have your health. And I just thought, yeah, okay, fine, because I always had my health. Your health is your wealth. Because without health, and that includes peace of mind, any kind of monetary success you have means very little. Now, you may disagree with that if you don't have much money, or if you seem to be struggling for money all the time. You think that money will solve your problem. I heard someone say, if you have a problem that can be solved by money, you don't have a problem. I know that's hard to believe, but I find that to be true. I've had quite a bit of money at times in my life and had very little money, and it really didn't dictate my happiness. Now, don't get me wrong, I like money. I like the freedom or the feeling of freedom that money gives you. But without peace of mind, it means very little. But then again, you could say, and I agree, it's hard to have peace of mind if you're not sure how you're going to pay your rent or if you're living on the street. So if you have your basic needs met and your bills paid, etc., then that's very important, and that does require money. Money is important, right up there with air. No, I don't know if it's right up there with air, but sometimes it seems like it, because I've been there, wondering how you're going to pay the electric, how you're going to pay the rent, how you're going to buy food. I raised these 6 kids by myself for the last 12 years, so I get it. I didn't get child support. I've done it on my own. Now, I was on welfare about 8 or 9, maybe 10 years ago when I wasn't working because I was helping take care of my father until he passed. But after that, I went back to work for my company and started supporting them on my own. Had some help from my mother. She passed away about 7 years ago. But my father was gone, I have no other family. So it was difficult, but it's what you do. I'm glad I did it, just like when I took care of my father before he passed in his home. I didn't want him dying in the nursing home, same as my mother. It was difficult, but I did it. And these things build character, which is, as I said, what each of us needs to be able to maintain the success in life that we desire. And it also helps peace of mind. It's equivalent. Your character is has an equivalent ratio to your peace of mind too. Because with character, you can handle daily situations, uncomfortable situations. You can be happy in lack, and you can be happy with a lot. But you can't get there without character building situations. Without, at least in our country, you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because we have such a country of comfort and pleasure. You really have to purposely do things to make yourself uncomfortable. Like go to the gym, box, do some MMA, walk a couple miles a day, go out and run, exercise. I don't know what the obesity and overweight rate is in the U.S., but I know the average weight of the American 20-year-old woman is 170.8 pounds. And the average weight of the American male is not far behind that. It's actually more, but of course men can carry more weight, but they're overweight too. And what does that tell us? That everything is so easy here. And back to the start of my video here, people die every day just to get here. This girl I was talking to from Cuba, Her sister flew to Nicaragua because they can fly there with a passport, and paid a coyote, if you know what that is, that's people who help people get across the borders, $400 to get up to the U.S., and she's in the U.S. now, so she told me. And she wants to do the same thing. I told her, I said, that's very dangerous. Oh, they trust the coyote. That's a hell of a risk. And she told me, without risk, no, you do not win in life. And it was so profound to hear that from her, because Cuba is a desperate country. I was impressed by that statement. So she would rather take a chance of getting raped and beat up or killed than live in the country she's in, where there's no opportunity like there is here. And that's the way it is in many parts of the world. You may not know it, but there are people who take ships and from South America, many places in the world to get, from India and different parts of the world to get to South America, to come up through South America through what's called the Bering Strait, which is very dangerous. Many of them don't make it. It's through Panama and up through there and on up through Mexico just to get here to the U.S., to have the opportunity that, like I said, many people complain about. One of the things people that come here from other countries don't understand is why people here complain so much. And I get it. I might have been the same way before I lived out of this country. I know I'm glad I did, because, as I said, I appreciate things. I appreciate my washer and dryer, my refrigerator, my stove, and the safety we have here in this country. This is one of the greatest, richest countries ever since the history of humanity. And if you can't make it here, you're not trying. You may have had some bad breaks. I get it. I've had some bad breaks. I've lost everything except my freedom twice, maybe 3 times, through marriage and divorce. But here I am today. I made it back up. I learned from those things, and it's made me more of who I want to be. So it's all in how you perceive it. If you want to look at it like your life's tough, it was terrible, oh man, things are rough, then you will continue to get the same. But if you look at it as a valuable life learning lesson, and also that you live in a land of opportunity, that, as I said, people die every day just to get here. Your whole life can change. Change your thinking, change your life. Because when you change your thinking, you change your actions, because they result from your thinking. That's all I have time for today. I got to get out there and get after it. No, I get to get out there and I get to go to work. Take care. Have a great day. Share this with a friend. Thanks for listening.